Welcome to Frank Ranks. That. Welcome to Frank Ranks 2025 Week 2. Let's talk about what I read this week, and we're going to rank them. And one of them I read digitally, and it is actually doesn't come out till Wednesday, so it's a little bit early, but I'm going to throw it into this week anyway, since it's kind of a slow week. But anyway, let's talk about what I read this week right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I'm your host, Frank Zanca. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And yeah, we're going to talk about what I read this week. And yeah, some of it was good and some of it was bad, like any other week. But one of them I read as digital, and it actually hasn't come out till Wednesday, but so I won't have anything to actually put on the stand. But I'll show the cover over here as well. All right, so let's jump right into it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 books. So this is 1 out of 7. Okay, so number 7, Power Lords. This was based on the, I guess, toy line from the 80s, which they're doing a lot of 80s stuff right now. But this is by Oni Press. And this is kind of all over the place. The writing is kind of poor. The artwork was so-so. I'm not going to say the artwork was horrible, but it's so-so. But it's I always base things more on the writing than I do the art. If the art's really bad, then, you know, I'll detract from that. But it's mostly the story that's going to get me. And they started out, you know, with an action scene, and then right when you thought that they would actually develop the characters, instead they jump it 1 year later and they split the team apart, so you have no idea what's even going on. Really bad idea. The whole first issue should have been more about who these characters are before you jump them 1 year in the future. Anyway, kind of a novice mistake there. But Power Lords number 1, so skip it. All right, and then we have West Coast Avengers for number 6. This is number 3. I kind of thought they'd be getting more back on track at this point, but the whole idea behind this thing is bad, where Tony and Rhodey are trying to create their own little Thunderbolts, where they're trying to rehabilitate criminals. Why is everybody rehabilitating criminals? And they have this guy Blue Bolt on the team, and they have Ultron on the team? What kind of idiots put Ultron on the team? So now we find out that Ultron split himself into a whole bunch of different pieces that were all self-autonomous, and they all want to do good. Yeah, sure. That's just a bad idea. I'm tired of, let's make villains villains, and the good guys good guys. We really don't need this kind of crossover of saying, yeah, these villains are now good, especially Ultron. So as far as I'm concerned, this doesn't even really work for me. And now it's kind of confusing because you have a good Ultron on the team and you have a semi-good Ultron that's kind of taking people's heads off and putting them on robot bodies. Anyway, I'm going to give this thing a couple more issues and I'm probably going to head out. All right. Then, actually, before this one, before I put this one, I'll put the one that I read digitally, and that is Rockefellers. Rockefellers, I'm not really sold on the whole idea of this Jetsons Lost in Space kind of thing, where they're on the run and they change time things to now, instead of being in the future, they're in the past or in our time. And so you have a very futuristic family, and she goes swimming in the Arctic or whatever the hell, in the snow. I don't know. She cuts a hole in the ice where somebody's fishing and goes and takes, a swim. The last one was a whole Christmas tree episode. This one is about this eye that the guy creates. it's not really working for me. It's not really working for me. Meanwhile, the little girl is traumatized. That I guess because they were on like a raft and they couldn't fit everybody, so the grandmother committed suicide so they all could live, and it traumatized the little girl. And now she's playing with the figures, saying, "I'll save you, Grandma." And I'm like, wow, that's pretty sad. That's pretty sad. Meanwhile, the grandfather is getting hit on by everybody in the neighborhood. It's just weird. It's just a really weird book. I can't put my finger on it, but it doesn't really work for me. All right, so next we have Moon Knight. This is generally the only book that I like from Jed MacKay. He's writing X-Men right now. He's writing Avengers. I'm going to drop Avengers. I'm going to be dropping both Avengers here very, very shortly. And he just doesn't know how to do that kind of team thing. The team book doesn't eludes him. However, he has a team here, but he has one leader. He has one guy that he is focusing on, and everybody else is kind of supporting extraneous characters. And it's not really a team book, even though there is a team in it. But I really like this storyline. He has this drug dealer that's kind of setting him up because he feels like he needs to control Moon Knight, and it's basically set him up and forced the whole team to go underground. He killed the Midnight Mission, so Moon Knight has an existential crisis, and then that's why this one is not further up, is because none of the rest of the team is in it. When Greer isn't in it, I'm not really happy anyway, because I like Tigra in this stuff, and again, there's none of his regular team is in this, because this is kind of a filler issue. Again, that's why it's not higher up on my list this week. And the only part that you need for this whole issue, for the story, is the last 2 pages where he challenges the bad guy to a one-on-one battle. That's it. That's the rest of the book, where his existential crisis doesn't take you anywhere. So the next issue should be better. All right, so we're down to the final 3. Dick Tracy. I like this one a lot with the blank. The artwork's only so. I'm not really happy with the artwork in this, but for the most part, but I like the story a lot. I think this storyline is better than the first storyline, because we're on issue 7 now. So this is the second, the second volume basically of story. So because the last one didn't end very well, but here they figure out, because we have some blood and guts here too. We have blood. They have some. So it's a little bit more gritty than a normal Dick Tracy strip would be. And they're hunting down this guy who's killing these people. I don't know if he's killing criminals, but he definitely cut the hands off of a criminal. That's what we find in here. But I was confused about whether he pinned it on the guy or if he just kind of copycatted. I'm confused about how all that works. But then they realize that the blank is a cop at the end. Him and Pat Patton, and him and Tess are having a tiff at this point too. And the poor the female police officer has this big scar down the middle of it. They don't even send her to the hospital. They're like, get back to work. But this has been a good series so far. I like it a lot. All right, and then we have my way back machine for Fantastic Four with the first appearance of Malice, who was, they just did the skin for that in Marvel Rivals, but this is from the 80s. As you can see the price on it, 65 cents. And this is by John Byrne, and it's really good, even though Malice looks like a dominatrix. And of course, that is Sue Storm, and she beats She-Hulk by enclosing her head in a sphere and basically suffocating her out. Franklin has a vision of Sue taking them all out, and we have a shapeshifter that's pretending to be Reed, who is manipulating the emotions of Sue Storm, which is basically what's turning her evil. And there's a Mr. Psycho or whatever, Psycho Man, is controlling stuff as well, where all of New York is kind of broken out into riots and stuff like that. It's really cool, really cool. But we have number 1, Green Lantern, and it's funny, by my buddy Jeremy Adams, who I'm actually going to see at MegaCon later this week. But it's funny, as I was watching Wes and Drew, and they did not recommend it this week, and I thought this was the best one yet. So I obviously have a different opinion. I understand what Mike Kozlak was saying from what is this thing? Comic Book Corner 2.0. He didn't like some of the faces. I agree with that. I agree with some of the faces. I mean, are not great in the art. But again, I don't really base stuff on art here. I like the playfulness of, and it was great to see Carol back because I was afraid we weren't going to see her anymore because of the whole Justice League thing. But I like all that. I like that Superman was like, one woman was like, I think it's cute that they're together, and Batman's like, I like how it's more of a team thing. That's why I don't really think we need a Green Lantern Corps book by itself when this is basically already here. Because I like how Kyle is kind of doing his own thing. He recruits the time traveler Odyssey, and he's got her doing something else, and they meet up with Connor, even though it's very him coming out of the thing with, doing this Pantene commercial. I don't know what the fuck was going on there, but I thought that was kind of weird. But it was good to see Connor in there, and then they're on the ship together, and then they're fighting over who's going to take the captain's chair, and then I finally understand what's going on with the Spectrum now. I finally understand what's going on, and then we have a Red Lantern at the end, even though I think Sinestro is still a Red Lantern at this time. But anyway, so yeah, I really like this issue. I thought it was the best one yet. And meanwhile, Wes and Drew are like, yeah, we can't recommend it this week. And I'm like, what? We're on different wavelengths here. Anyway, if you're not reading Green Lantern, you should. It's really, really good. I think so. Anyway, I like the new storyline a lot better than even the previous one. And the previous one was decent, but I like this. I think this is good. So, all right, well, that's it from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Remember to give me that like, give me that thumbs up if you can. And remember, too, that we have Green Hornet right now. We're only $1,500 shy of making our goal. So jump right in there, because we have Timothy Zahn, who created Thrawn for Star Wars. We got Kevin J. Anderson, who writes for Dune. We had the cover art by Matt Wagner, who did Grendel and Batman. I mean, we have some major names. It's being published by Moonstone. It's going to be a hardcover anthology. Bill Willingham did Fables. I mean, the writing on this is off the chart. But anyway, definitely check it out. Either go to greenhornetnoir.com or click the link in the description below. I will see you guys on the next episode. Thanks again for watching. All right, bye-bye.